Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. The Washington quarter has long been a staple of American coinage, a coin that millions of people have held in their hands without ever realizing the hidden treasures within. While most quarters are simply spent and forgotten, some rare and valuable pieces lurk within everyday pocket change, waiting to be discovered by those with a keen eye. Among these hidden gems, the 1974 Washington quarter stands out as one of the most intriguing and potentially valuable coins in the series. With a rich history, striking design, and a few rare varieties that have fetched staggering amounts at auction, this quarter is much more than just spare change. In fact, certain rare and pristine examples of the 1974 Washington quarter have been valued at an astonishing $88,000, making it one of the most sought-after coins in its category. Today, we embark on an in-depth journey into the world of the 1974 Washington quarter, exploring its origins, design, minting details, collector appeal, and what makes certain specimens so incredibly valuable. The story of the Washington quarter begins long before 1974. Originally introduced in 1932, this iconic coin was created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The design, chosen through a public competition, was crafted by sculptor John Flanagan, whose portrait of Washington has remained on the quarter for decades. The coin was initially made of 90% silver, but by the mid-20th century, rising silver prices and economic changes forced the U.S. Mint to transition to a copper-nickel-clad composition. This shift occurred in 1965, making pre-1965 quarters particularly valuable due to their silver content. By 1974, the Washington quarter had firmly established itself as a non-silver coin, yet certain varieties and errors from this year have made some examples worth a fortune. The 1974 Washington quarter was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. The total mintage was in the hundreds of millions, meaning that the vast majority of these quarters are common. However, within this massive production, rare errors and high-grade specimens exist, elevating the value of certain coins dramatically. One of the most famous varieties is the 1974 D-double die obverse (DDO), a rare error where the details of Washington's portrait and inscriptions appear doubled due to a misalignment in the striking process. These doubled die errors are highly sought after by collectors and can fetch thousands of dollars in pristine condition. Another valuable variation is the 1974 S-proof coin, struck with exceptional detail and mirror-like surfaces, especially in deep cameo contrast. While these proof coins are valuable, the true prize lies in finding an exceptionally high-grade business strike from this year. Most circulated 1974 quarters show significant wear, making high-grade examples extremely rare. Coins that have been preserved in pristine condition, graded MS-67 or higher, are nearly impossible to find in everyday change. It is these high-grade specimens that command astronomical prices. A perfectly preserved 1974 Washington quarter with no blemishes, full luster, and a strong strike can reach values of $88,000 at auction. Such a coin represents the pinnacle of Washington quarter collecting, an almost mythical find that only the luckiest collectors have had the privilege of discovering. The design of the 1974 Washington quarter remains one of the most enduring in American numismatics. The obverse features John Flanagan portrait of George Washington, a bold and dignified image that has become synonymous with the quarter. The word, Liberty, is inscribed above Washington's head, while the national motto, In God We Trust, sits just to the left. The date, 1974, is prominently displayed at the bottom. The reverse features the majestic image of an eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and preparedness, with an olive branch beneath it, representing peace. The inscriptions, United States of America, and E pluribus unum frame the top of the coin, while the denomination, quarter dollar, is inscribed at the bottom. The balance of these elements creates a design that is both classic and timeless, one that has graced American pockets for generations. For those hoping to find a valuable 1974 Washington quarter, there are a few key factors to consider. The first step is identifying the mint mark, as Denver minted coins with the double die error are particularly valuable. Next, the condition of the coin plays a crucial role. Any 1974 quarter with minimal wear, sharp details, and a strong strike is worth examining further. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint should also be inspected, as deep cameo proofs in top grades can be highly collectible. If you suspect you have a valuable specimen, it is highly recommended to have the coin graded by a professional service such as PCGS or NGC, as authentication and a high grade can significantly boost its value. Beyond errors and high grades, the appeal of the 1974 Washington quarter lies in its connection to history. This coin was minted during a turbulent time in America, a period marked by political upheaval, economic challenges, and cultural shifts. It was the last full year before the dramatic events of 1975, when the U.S. Mint began preparations for the bicentennial quarter, which would feature a special reverse design in celebration of the nation's 200th anniversary. As such, the 1974 quarter represents the final chapter of a long-standing design before a temporary but historic change. The thrill of coin collecting comes from the possibility of finding hidden treasures in the most unexpected places. While the vast majority of 1974 Washington quarters are worth only their face value, the rare few that exist in exceptional condition or feature unique errors can be worth life-changing amounts. Whether you are searching through rolls of quarters, examining proof sets, or hunting for varieties, the 1974 Washington quarter offers an exciting challenge for collectors of all levels. As we wrap up this deep dive into the 1974 Washington quarter, it's worth remembering that every coin tells a story. From the moment it was struck at the U.S. Mint to its journey through circulation, each quarter carries a piece of history. Some may end up lost or forgotten, while others find their way into the hands of collectors who recognize their true value. Could you be holding one of these rare treasures? The next time you come across a 1974 Washington quarter, take a closer look. You might just be holding an $88,000 masterpiece in your hands. Keep searching, keep collecting, and never underestimate the power of a single coin to change your life. Top 2. The Washington quarter has been an enduring symbol of American coinage, a small but mighty piece of history that millions of people have used in their daily transactions. While many quarters are simply spent without a second thought, certain rare and extraordinary specimens stand out as hidden treasures. Among these, the 1984 Washington quarter is one of the most intriguing. While it might appear ordinary at first glance, some rare variations, pristine conditions, and era coins from this year have reached astonishing values in the collector's market. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, something you might have found in pocket change, and discovering that it's worth an incredible $62,000. This is the story of the 1984 Washington quarter, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors and numismatists, proving that sometimes, the most valuable treasures are hiding in plain sight. The journey of the Washington quarter began in 1932 when the United States Mint introduced this new design to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The quarter, which had previously featured the Standing Liberty design, was given a fresh new look by sculptor John Flanagan. His portrait of Washington, a striking and dignified image, became an instant classic and has remained the standard for the quarter to this day. Initially minted in 90% silver, the Washington quarter underwent a significant transformation in 1965, when rising silver prices forced the U.S. Mint to transition to a copper-nickel-clad composition. By 1984, the Washington quarter had been in this clad format for nearly 2 decades, yet despite its widespread use, certain coins from this year have become incredibly valuable due to their rarity, condition, and errors. The 1984 Washington quarter was minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced business strike coins intended for circulation, while the San Francisco mint struck proof coins, which were specially made for collectors with highly polished dies and sharp details. In total, hundreds of millions of these quarters were minted, making the average example quite common. However, within this massive mintage, a select few quarters have become the stuff of legend. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 1984 Washington quarter is the double die error. This occurs when the coin's design is accidentally struck twice by the die at slightly different angles, causing a noticeable doubling effect on the inscriptions and portrait details. Double die quarters from various years have sold for thousands of dollars, and the 1984 variety is no exception. If you happen to find a 1984 Washington quarter with a strong double die effect, particularly on the obverse where Washington's profile and lettering appear doubled, you could be looking at a coin worth a small fortune. Another significant factor that influences the value of a 1984 Washington quarter is its condition. Coins that have been in circulation for decades typically show wear and tear, with scratches, faded details, and dulled surfaces. However, those that were carefully preserved, never spent, and kept in pristine condition, graded MS-67 or higher, are incredibly rare. A 1984 Washington quarter that has been graded at the highest levels, free of marks and with a full, original luster, can fetch prices as high as $62,000 at auction. These coins represent the pinnacle of Washington quarter collecting, highly coveted by enthusiasts who are willing to pay extraordinary sums for the finest examples. The design of the 1984 Washington quarter remains a testament to the timeless craftsmanship of John Flanagan. The obverse features the striking image of George Washington, facing left, his expression one of resolute determination. The word, Liberty, is boldly displayed above his head, while the national motto, In God We Trust, is positioned to the left. The year, 1984, is prominently inscribed at the bottom. The reverse side of the coin features a powerful bald eagle, wings outstretched, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, a symbol of America's strength and readiness. Below the eagle is an olive branch, representing peace. The inscriptions, United States of America, and E Pluribus Unum, frame the top of the coin, while the denomination, $quarter, is clearly displayed at the bottom. This classic design has remained largely unchanged, a tribute to the enduring legacy of one of America's greatest leaders. For collectors and treasure hunters hoping to find a valuable 1984 Washington quarter, there are a few key things to look for. First, inspect the mint mark. Denver minted quarters, marked with a D, have been known to exhibit valuable errors, including doubled dies and striking anomalies. Next, evaluate the condition. Any quarter with full details, sharp relief, and an unblemished surface is worth further examination. If you come across a proof version of the 1984 quarter, it may also be of interest, particularly if it exhibits a deep cameo contrast, meaning the raised details are frosted while the background is mirror-like. Finally, if you believe you have a valuable specimen, having it professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC can help authenticate its rarity and maximize its market value. The thrill of coin collecting lies in the possibility of discovering rare and valuable pieces where you least expect them. Most 1984 Washington quarters are only worth their face value, yet the rare few that exist in extraordinary condition or feature unique minting errors can command staggering sums. Stories of collectors who have found valuable coins in circulation, only to later realize their true worth, continue to inspire new generations of numismatists. The 1984 Washington quarter is one such example, a coin that, in its most exceptional form, can turn a lucky find into a life-changing payday. As we conclude our exploration of the 1984 Washington quarter, one thing becomes clear: every coin has a story. From the moment it was struck at the U.S. Mint to the countless hands it may have passed through, each quarter carries a history that connects us to the past. Some may be lost in the shuffle of daily transactions, while others find their way into the collections of those who recognize their true value. Could you be holding a rare 1984 Washington quarter? The next time you come across one, take a closer look. You might just be holding a $62,000 treasure in your hand. Keep searching, keep collecting, and never underestimate the power of a single coin to change your life. Top 3. The 1988 Washington quarter is one of those coins that most people wouldn't think twice about when they see it in their pocket change. It's just another quarter, right? But what if I told you that there are rare versions of this coin that have sold for an astonishing $56,000? Yes, a single 1988 Washington quarter, a coin that you might overlook, could be worth more than an entire year's salary. This is the fascinating story of the 1988 Washington quarter, a coin with a rich history, a classic design, and some ultra-rare variations that make it highly sought after by collectors. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist or just someone who enjoys the thrill of a good treasure hunt, this is a coin that you need to know about. The Washington Quarter series began in 1932 as a way to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter replaced the standing Liberty quarter, which had been in circulation since 1916. Washington's portrait, facing left, was chosen to grace the obverse of the new quarter, and it has remained there ever since, becoming one of the most iconic designs in American coinage. Over the decades, the Washington quarter underwent several changes. In 1965, due to rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint stopped producing quarters in 90% silver and instead switched to a copper-nickel clad composition. By 1988, this composition had been the standard for over 2 decades. Despite being a common year for the series, the 1988 Washington quarter has a few surprises that make it incredibly valuable under the right conditions. The 1988 Washington quarter was minted at 3 major locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced business strike coins meant for circulation, while the San Francisco mint focused on proof coins for collectors. In total, hundreds of millions of these quarters were minted, making the average example extremely common. However, as with many coins, the real value comes from rare errors, varieties, and condition. One of the most valuable types of 1988 Washington quarters is the doubled die variety. A doubled die occurs when the coin's design is accidentally struck twice by the die at slightly different angles, creating a doubling effect on the details. This can be most noticeable on inscriptions such as Liberty or In God We Trust, as well as on Washington's profile. While not all doubled die quarters are worth a fortune, the ones with strong, noticeable doubling can sell for thousands of dollars at auction. A well-preserved doubled die 1988 Washington quarter, particularly one graded MS-67 or higher, can easily fetch 5 figures. Another key factor that determines the value of a 1988 Washington quarter is its condition. Coins that have been in circulation for years typically show signs of wear, scratches, dings, and faded details. However, a quarter that was never spent and has been preserved in perfect condition can be worth a small fortune. Collectors look for coins with full luster, sharp details, and no significant blemishes. The highest graded specimens, those in MS-67 or MS-68 condition, are incredibly rare. In fact, a flawless 1988 Washington quarter, graded at the highest level, could command a price as high as $56,000. The design of the 1988 Washington quarter is a timeless piece of artistry. The obverse features the classic portrait of George Washington, originally sculpted by John Flanagan. Washington's face is strong and dignified, a tribute to the first president of the United States. The word Liberty is prominently displayed above his head, while the phrase, In God We Trust, is positioned to the left. The year, 1988, is clearly inscribed at the bottom, and on business strike coins from Denver you'll see a small D mint mark just beside Washington's ponytail. On the reverse, we find an image that has symbolized American strength and unity for decades: a majestic bald eagle, wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons. Below the eagle is an olive branch, representing peace. Above the eagle, the words, United States of America, curve along the top edge, while E pluribus unum is inscribed just below. At the bottom, the denomination, $quarter, is displayed prominently. This design remained largely unchanged until the introduction of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. For those hoping to strike it rich with a rare 1988 Washington quarter, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, check for errors. Doubled dies, off-center strikes, or missing letters can all add value. Next, evaluate the condition. If the coin is free from scratches and retains its original mint luster, it could be worth sending to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Finally, if you come across a proof version from the San Francisco Mint, look for deep cameo contrast, where the raised details are frosted against a mirror-like background. Proof coins with this special appearance can command high prices among collectors. Coin collecting is a world filled with surprises. The 1988 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how an everyday object can turn into a rare and valuable treasure. Most of these quarters are worth just 25 cents, but in exceptional cases, they can sell for thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars. The thrill of discovering a valuable coin in pocket change is what keeps collectors and treasure hunters searching. It's a reminder that history is all around us, sometimes in the form of something as small as a quarter. As we conclude our journey into the story of the 1988 Washington quarter, one thing is clear: this is a coin that deserves a second look. Whether you are sifting through a jar of old change or carefully examining your latest pocket full of coins, keep an eye out for this special year. You never know, your next quarter could be worth far more than you ever imagined. And with a top value of $56,000, the 1988 Washington quarter proves that sometimes the biggest treasures come in the smallest packages. Keep searching, keep collecting, and never underestimate the power of a single coin to change your life. Top 4. The 1994 Washington quarter is a coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought. It's been spent on groceries, parking meters, vending machines, and coffee, passing through countless hands over the years. But what if I told you that a rare version of this very quarter has sold for an astounding $42,000? It's hard to believe that a coin so common could be worth such a staggering amount, but that's the incredible reality of numismatics. Some coins, due to rare errors, pristine condition, or unusual variations, can skyrocket in value, turning an ordinary quarter into a collector's dream. In this deep dive, we'll explore everything you need to know about the 1994 Washington quarter, its history, design, minting process, key errors, and of course, what makes some of these coins worth tens of thousands of dollars. The Washington quarter series began in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter replaced the standing Liberty quarter, which had been in circulation since 1916. Flanagan's portrait of Washington, facing left, has remained largely unchanged for decades, making it one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. Initially, Washington quarters were made of 90% silver, but in 1965, due to rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. By 1994, the Washington quarter had been produced in this modern-clad form for nearly 30 years, making silver quarters a thing of the past, at least for regular circulation coins. The 1994 Washington quarter was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced business strike coins for everyday circulation, while the San Francisco Mint focused on proof coins, specially made for collectors. In total, hundreds of millions of these quarters were struck, making the average example extremely common. However, as with all coins, the real excitement comes when rare errors or pristine, high-grade examples enter the spotlight. One of the biggest factors influencing a coin's value is its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS, mint state, grades starting at MS 60 and going up to MS 70, which represents a perfect coin with no flaws visible under magnification. The vast majority of 1994 Washington quarters have been in circulation for decades, accumulating scratches, dings, and wear. However, a small number of these quarters were carefully preserved, never spent, and remain in nearly flawless condition. These high-grade examples are extremely rare, and when certified by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, they can fetch premium prices. A 1994 Washington quarter graded MS-68 or higher is an extraordinary find, and it's these rare top-tier coins that can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 1994 Washington quarter is the double die error. This occurs when the coin's design is accidentally struck twice by the die, creating a noticeable doubling effect. The doubling is most often seen on inscriptions like, "Liberty, in God we trust," or the date itself. These errors are rare, but when they do appear, collectors are willing to pay substantial sums to acquire them. The most dramatic double die varieties of the Washington quarter can command prices well into the thousands, especially if they are in mint condition. Another rare error that can make a 1994 Washington quarter incredibly valuable is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned with the die during striking, resulting in a design that is partially cut off or misaligned. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin. Some off-center quarters with at least 50% of the design missing, yet still showing the date, have been known to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Collectors also seek out coins with missing clad layers, which occur when the outer nickel layer of the coin is improperly applied, revealing the copper core underneath. These quarters have an unusual appearance, often with one side looking dull and brown instead of the normal silver color. This striking error can dramatically increase a coin's value, particularly if the missing clad layer is fully intact and the coin remains in high-grade condition. While most 1994 Washington quarters are worth only their face value of 25 cents, the rarest and most pristine examples have sold for thousands. A record-breaking sale of a 1994 Washington quarter in perfect MS-69 condition brought in an astonishing $42,000 at auction, setting a new benchmark for the value of this particular year. What made this coin so special? It was flawless, with razor-sharp details, brilliant luster, and no visible marks even under magnification. Such coins are almost unheard of, making them the ultimate prize for collectors willing to pay top dollar. The thrill of coin collecting lies in the unexpected. Every coin has a story, and every pocket full of change has the potential to contain a hidden gem. The 1994 Washington quarter may seem ordinary, but under the right conditions, it can be worth a life-changing amount. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a casual collector, it's always worth checking your change. You never know when you might come across a rare double die, a stunning mint-state specimen, or an elusive error that transforms a simple quarter into a fortune. The 1994 Washington quarter proves that numismatics is a hobby of endless possibilities. Some coins are valuable for their history, others for their rarity, and some simply because they exist in a condition so pristine that they defy the odds. This is what makes coin collecting so exciting. Every coin has potential, and sometimes, the most unexpected finds turn out to be the most valuable. So keep looking, keep searching, and always take a second glance at your quarters. Because one day, you might just hold a $42,000 treasure in the palm of your hand.